Good evening. I'm Karen Sheridan. As the president of the League of Women Voters of the North Shore, formerly Topsfield, Boxford, and Middleton, I would like to welcome you to Candidates Night. The League is a multi-issue, volunteer, nonpartisan organization working to promote political responsibility through informed and active participation of citizens in the democratic process. As such, we never support nor oppose candidates or political parties. We do, however, take positions on issues we have studied. We applaud those of you who are running for office tonight and you, the public, who are taking the time to become informed about the issues and the candidates. We'll remind everyone that the election is Tuesday, May 20th at Fuller Meadow Elementary School here, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Town meeting is Tuesday, May 13th at Hal Manning Elementary School at 7 p.m. As is our custom when sponsoring candidates' nights in Boxford, Topsfield, and Georgetown, we turn to a League member from out of town. And I'm from Boxford, so tonight you get me as your moderator. I'm going to explain the format. If you could please write out questions for the two contested races, the Select Board and the Elementary School Committee, that would move things along quickly. We're going to go in ballot order. First, we'll ask the non-contested candidates to be introduced and speak for 2 minutes if they would like. And then we will have the first panel of contested race, the Select Board. And everybody will get 2 minutes for an opening, 2 minutes for questions, 2 minutes for closing. And then we'll bring up the second contested race, Elementary School Committee. So, our timekeeper this evening, don't let me forget, Sally George, who will be holding up cards. So if you could please try and keep your comments to the time limit so we can get through as many questions as possible tonight. So maybe we'll get started with the uncontested candidates. For Constable, for 3 years, we have Paul Francis Armitage. Oh, okay.
I know him. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. No more of that from you. My name is Armitage, Paul Armitage. I've been a resident of Middleton for a lot of years. I was raised here, my brothers were raised here, my children were raised here, and my grandchildren have been raised here. I have been your constable for the last 20-odd years, and hopefully, you're a while. Hopefully I'll be your constable for another 3 years. The constable in Middleton works at the request of the Board of Selectmen, the town clerk. We serve papers to the various entities within the town at the request of, say, the light department, or I post town meetings, elections, that sort of thing. Not a lot of heavy lifting. As I said, I've been your constable for over 20 years. I also served on the police department for 37 years. My last 10 years with the department was as their police chief. I am very proud of my service with the town. I've spent over 55 years so far. Hopefully, God willing, and you folks vote in the right way. Well, of course, I'm unopposed. So. But nevertheless, I'm very proud of my service with the town, and I very much appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Board of Assessors for 3 years, Tula Guarino? Guarino? I will mispronounce everyone's name.
That's okay, Karen.
Okay, moving on to Regional School Committee. One person for 3 years, Trevor Courier.
Finals.
Okay.
Local college finals.
Okay. Planning Board for 5 years, David LaBelle. David. Electric Light Commissioner for 3 years, Kenneth Donald Rollins Jr. Trustee of the Flint Public Library for 3 years, Costa Prentakis.
I won't take up any of your time, so we can get to the panels. Thank you.
Housing Authority for 5 years, Maria Pecos Hans.
Answers, very good. That's me. Thank you. I am uncontested. This is will be my third term, and I appreciate your vote. Things are going very well at the Housing Authority, and we're very fortunate to have a great director that helps with maintaining all that needs to be done for the state and the tenants at Orchard Circle and Memorial Drive. So thank you, and please get out and vote for everybody. Vote.
Okay, I think that brings us to the first contested race, Select Board. So with the candidates for Select Board come forward to the tables, I will check.
That's nice. Definitely hot over there.
Oh, you cheated.
We start out in ballot order and then we rotate. So we're going to start with opening statements, 2 minutes, and we will start with Ms. Carboni. Carboni?
Carboni. It's okay, Garen. Good evening, and thank you for all coming tonight. It's great to see a big show of people. We don't always have this much attendance, so it's very nice and welcoming. My name is Debbie Carboni. I am running for re-election of one of the 5 members of the Select Board. I would like to take a moment and thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this event tonight. I would like to thank everyone that has taken time out of their evening to attend. I would also like to thank the other 3 candidates that have put their hat in the ring. This is a big job, and it takes a lot. And we're all working towards the same thing, which is to make the town better. I have lived in Middleton for over 50 years. My husband and I have raised our children in this beautiful town. I also hold a seat on the Board of Assessors for over 15 years. The Board of Assessors generates more than 74% of the revenue that operates this town. My full-time career is in municipal government. It has been my privilege and my honor to have served on the Select Board for the past 3 years. The Select Board is a policy-making board. I have always voted for what I felt was in the best interest for the town as a whole, not a party or a group. If re-elected, I will continue to work hard for all the taxpayers in Middleton. Thank you.
Mr. Cassiotis.
Certainly. It's been an honor to serve both as a police officer for 34 years and as a select board member, and I remain committed to upholding the trust that you've placed in me. Throughout my 9 years on the board, I've gained the knowledge and experience to assure that every decision is made with fiscal and legal responsibility at its core. I have no personal agenda, only a genuine desire to do what's right for the town of Middleton and its 9,700 plus residents and businesses. I'm especially proud of the part I played in securing the land and funding for the town municipal complex, sent to open on time and within budget. Through thoughtful planning and strong financial stewardship, Middleton has also achieved a decreased tax rate in recent years and earned our highest ever bond rating of AA+, which allowed us to borrow for the complex at a percentage of 2.05%. It should also be noted that Middleton, we know, is a desirable place to live. In fiscal year 17, the average single-family home was $550,000. Today, it's $963,000. That's a 75% increase. That the tax increase is nowhere near that. The finances in town are well managed due to our responsible financial policies. One of my proudest moments is being involved with the Middleton Rail Trail and creating the 501c3, that with the cooperation with friends and stakeholders, we were able to create a rail trail of 4.5 miles, entirely funded through grants, donations, volunteer efforts, and at minimal cost to the taxpayer. I'm proud of the work we've accomplished together, and there's still more work to be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Banfield.
Good evening. My name is Natasha Bansfield, and I'm running for a seat on the Middleton Select Board. I'd like to begin by thanking the League of Women Voters for hosting this debate. It's a valuable opportunity for candidates to share more than what you might see on a yard sign or a Facebook post. I'm a wife and a mother of 3 school-aged children. My family moved to Middleton from Peabody in 2017, and from the start, I completely immersed myself in our community, taking on several volunteer roles right out of the gate. I strongly believe in giving back and putting the work in for the town as a whole. In 2019, I was elected to the Middleton School Committee. Just this week, I sat over there and I attended my final meeting, closing out 6 years of dedicated service. During that time, I served as the chairwoman, most notably through the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. To the best of my knowledge, Middleton was the only public school to attend full day in person in September of 2020. That is a huge achievement, and I worked extremely hard along with the superintendent and the other board members to make that happen. That period demanded difficult decisions, constant communication, and a deep commitment to doing what was right for our students, staff, and families. I helped navigate an unprecedented crisis, and for that I will be forever proud. I share this because it's easy to vote for someone you've known for many, many years, someone who's friendly and well-liked. But when challenges come, and they will come, you need someone who will step up, speak out, put the work in, and find the best possible outcome for residents. I've done that before, even when it wasn't easy, and I would do it again without hesitation. Please, when you cast your vote, choose someone who will truly represent you, who will lead with both heart and strength when it matters most. Thank you.
Ms. Patron.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters. I appreciate this. I think it's important for everybody to see who you're voting for, who the people that are going to be representing you when tough decisions happen. My name is Kendra Petroni. My husband and I moved to Middleton in 2018 with our 3 kids. I have a daughter who's a freshman at Masco and 2 boys who are still here at Hal Manning. Like a lot of you, we moved here for the schools. I have 2 boys that have autism, so special education was very important for me, and Middleton has delivered. This is the greatest town and area to be in for schools and for education, and I will do everything to always support what the educators in this town have done for my children and my family. My background is communications. I've worked in Boston media for 20 years, so talking to people, being able to have conversations with people that are difficult, it's my life. It's what I do every day. Being a select board member, I know, is pretty important. You need to represent all of the facets of town. You need to represent the schools, the taxpayers, all of it. And I think that regardless if you've lived here for 7 years or 37 years, you need to feel seen and heard. When you stand up at public comment or you speak at a public meeting, you need to feel like the select board members are hearing you. It's a two-way street for communication. I'm fair and I'm honest and I'm a decent person, and I think it's been lost the last couple of years, and I'd like to get that back. I don't care who you vote for politically. I don't care if you're rich or poor. I don't care where you come from. If you're a good person and you're a decent human being, then you're on my team. And that's what I want to do for the town of Middleton, and I'd love to have your vote on May 20th, because I'll bring honesty and decency back to the town. I think it's long overdue. So thank you.
Okay, we're going to go to the questions, and could we hold our applause till the end of the session? Okay, starting with Mr. Cassiotis. Can you please talk about the place of creativity in lowering taxes and preserving Middleton as we know and love it? What ideas do you have?
Well, it starts off first by being fiscally sound and having a fiduciary responsibility that you make sure that you stay within the legal parameters of what the state gives you as guidelines, and you do your best at cutting costs where you can. It's not really that easy. We have a budget that of 100%, 65% goes to education, 35% goes to everything else, and you find out really quick how little you have with what to work with. The concept of keeping the taxes down, as I said in the open, we've decreased the tax rate a couple of dollars, which doesn't seem like a lot, but for the same average home currently in Middleton, you pay in Boxford $1,400 a year more for the same home. And in Topsfield, you pay $1,800 a year more. My idea is to continue to be steady and responsible and with the people's money and pay attention to how that's done.
Okay. Ms. Bansfield.
Thank you. I recently, I think it was a few days ago, I posted about this very topic, about being in support of implementing a split tax rate. And for those people that don't really understand what it is, a split tax rate would not generate more revenue. It would just offset who pays what. So I would be interested in having a split tax rate. It would be a slight bump. It would be, instead of a 1-to-1, it would be a 1.2. The average for all towns basically around us is a 1.61. So if basically it would be a savings to the taxpayer of in an average $963,000 home. It would be a cost savings of $433 per year. For that same taxpayer, if all three of these overrides pass, which all three of them need to pass because we have to support our schools and we have to support our police and fire. I don't see a way around that. We have to support them. If all three pass, it's going to cost the average taxpayer $579 additionally each year. If we went to a modest split rate, it would save taxpayers $433. So the average taxpayer would only have to spend $145 to cover, or they'd have to, to cover all three overrides. They would only have to pay an additional $145, which I get it. $145 is $145, especially in these times, but it seems a lot more feasible and doable for residents. I am about affordable housing. I am about Middleton's an awesome town, and I want people to come here, but we have to make sure that it is affordable for the people just coming in and for the people who have been here 50 years. We want people to be able to stay here. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Petroni.
So in addition to an offering of a balanced split tax rate where we'd go from 1.0 to 1.2, I think in addition to that, we need to figure out what's going on at the state level. And for me, in my point of view, who's going and fighting for us up at the state level? The state reps that we have, the local state reps that we have when it comes to the schools. And Middleton is not the only town in financial chaos. Every town around us is at the threat of losing 20 to 70 teachers, or losing full schools, or losing police stations because of the financial distress that everybody is in. So we have to get creative. Doing a split tax rate. We love our businesses here in Middleton. We can't survive without them. They're the first ones to sponsor, first ones to donate, but shifting a little bit of that financial burden from the taxpayers, just a little bit, is a plea for help. That's all. So that we don't have to have families choose between hiring police officers and keeping their favorite teacher. It should never be a choice. We need them all. So I think in addition to the local part of it, we need to go up to the state level. We need to demand more from our state reps. Who's fighting that? I'm not friends with any of them. I have no problem going up and challenging and saying, where's the money? Show me. Where's the audit? Prove to us that you are giving us a fair amount and that the money that is owed to us is coming to us. So it's a two-tier problem, and we need to be able to fight, and we need to not be afraid to get the door slammed in our face a couple times. You got to keep fighting because we need to solve this financial problem. We can't have overrides over $500 every year. This town is gonna die. It's catastrophic for the schools and for the public safety. So those are the two avenues that we need to tackle, in my opinion.
Thank you. Ms. Carboni.
Sure, thank you. If we talk about budget for the town of Middleton, Kendra, you are 100% correct. It is not just the town of Middleton. Right now, we have many communities that are suffering the same way we are. this is in fact due to when you have a tax levy, the state gives us since 1988, when they put that law in effect, 2.5% of that levy you can add to your next year budget. Well, if your fixed cost, your insurance, your cost for your buildings, your everything that your medical costs, everything goes up more than that 2.5%. And since COVID, it has increased even more. So that is in part the budget issues right now that every municipality is going through. With that being said, how you still have to have a balanced budget. So we do have to be creative. Is it splitting a tax rate? There's a lot of factors that have to go into that. And that is why that is an annual vote by the select board. So you will look at that every year, but we need to be creative on how we can get to more money. How do we get there? How do we stay within our budgets? Where is the money going? Line item by line item. This past year during the budget season, we went line item for line item through all the departments within town hall. We have to get creative to figure out a budget.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Ms. Banfield. What is your position on the MBTA zoning act and the select board's twice pushing for a vote to be in compliance, but now claiming that it is an unfunded mandate and that we are not an adjacent community?
That's a great question. Many of you who follow the MBTA and all of it know that I was pretty outspoken both times the MBTA vote came up. I'm disappointed in a few things. One, I'm disappointed that we, the town, at this level, didn't articulate from the get-go that we are adjacent. So that we shouldn't even be in the MBTA zone, because if you look at the map, we're just one little dot in the middle that has absolutely no MBTA advantages. So there is currently a lawsuit. I've seen it online. It's sitting with a judge. They're asking for an injunction. They're actually asking for an exemption, first and foremost, because we are adjacent, and therefore not benefiting at all from the MBTA. But I know that at one point, it's very interesting, the words that I heard from the select board and from other boards in town, the planning board, was that nothing would be built, it wouldn't impact us. And when I look at the lawsuit, and I've printed off the pages, it is a significant impact. And the town administrator, Justin, and every single select board member signed a legal affidavit that's sitting with the judge talking about the impact. And I'll just read off a couple of things. It would increase the population by 20%. The annual cost for additional police would be $1.4 million. Even if Middleton only hired 3 new officers, the annual unforeseen impact to the town would be another $370,000. 3 new police cruisers at $75,000 each, 8 new fire and rescue personnel, 20. We'd need to go to 20 full-time firefighters. We're well below for police and fire at this moment. It would have increased the transfer station costs by $200,000 annually. It would absolutely. They're guesstimating between 100 and 375 new students to the school, which I don't even know what the impact would be, but far more than the $2 million for that intersection. Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Banfield.
Sorry.
Ms. Petroni, if anybody would like me to reread these questions, just give me a shout.
I think my answer is probably pretty similar to Natasha's. For me, my biggest worry, and I know that one of the budget line items this year was a $25,000 legal fee that I know a lot of people were upset about, but for me, my anger goes back to what Natasha said. Why were we on the list in the first place? To me, those are the kinds of things that I want the people that represent this town to look for, because that was it. Even if you were a yes vote for the MBTA, everybody was in agreement that no one wanted to be forced to zone for anything. Nobody in this town wants the state or anybody from the outside dictating what we do here in Middleton. Everyone was in agreement on that, whether you voted yes or no. So my frustration was like, Middleton's the only one in that little bubble. Why wasn't that discovered first before we got at each other's throats and started arguing yes or no, and whether or not, what happens if we're non-compliant, what's going to happen, how are we going to fund the town? None of that should have even been an issue. We shouldn't even be on the list. We don't fit the qualifications. Middleton's the only one. It's a no-brainer. We don't belong there. So that, to me, is my biggest problem. So all of the implications, to me, it's shame on who didn't discover that first. And that's the job of the people that represent us here. You're supposed to find those things. The everyday taxpayer isn't supposed to. That's the role of the elected officials. We need people who are going to find those things and fight for us, because it matters. The implications are huge. So, thank you.
Ms. Carboni.
Sure. So the MBTA, in my opinion, is a flawed law. But at the end of the day, it is a law. With that being said, there is no argument on who liked it or who didn't like it. But to comply with it would have allowed some more grant money. We need grant money. We just got off the topic of a budget. Well, we had $2 million in our coffers, in a check, in our hand, that could have alleviated. All over Facebook yesterday was traffic, traffic, traffic. That $2 million was allocated towards traffic. So that's just one part of it. We only had to depict a layer for where we were going to allocate this area. We did not do that. When it comes, I do want to, as I'm watching the time, the paper that Natasha has, that is a form letter. That is a form application that had to be submitted with numbers. You have to put something in there. Those are all guesstimates. You do have to submit it. When it comes down to the MBTA and whether something would be built or not be built, none of us can sit here and say whether it would or it wouldn't, but it was the best possible location for it. So in my opinion, it's the law. The ADU is a law. We didn't have the opportunity to go to town meeting and say yes or no on that. That was granted through the state to say you have to have them.
Thank you. Mr. Casiotis.
Okay, ready? First of all, the legislature itself placed Middleton as an adjacent. It was known early on, with no recourse in what to do. You know, it's not arbitrary, okay? We didn't have any damages. We're just listed as adjacent. Then we come to a vote. That was the only vote, I'm going to push back a little, that the select board brought, technically, was the first annual town meeting vote. If it passes, the point is moot. If it doesn't, then we know everyone knew what they were sacrificing for that to happen. You know, legal exposure and the lack of outside funding. After that, it wasn't the select board that brought the second vote to a town meeting. It was a citizen's petition, which is one of the last dying great things that there is with small town governance, is that when the citizens have an issue, they can get the requisite numbers and do it. They did it for Natsu Way a number of times. They did it for the schools. If anyone's been here long enough, they've seen it. Selectmen do not bring special citizens petitions. Finally, in regards to the area, you have to, it's the reason we said 750 is because that's what the state told us. In reality, it was 750, but you could reduce it by the amount of existing facility buildings that were there. Up on that location, that's 300, almost 400. So it's not 750, it's down to more like 2 something to 300. all that would have only been able to be built, not never, but on that sliver of land that's between Village Road and Locust, that any builder in here knows that's an expensive lot. So even if they had built something in there, it would have wound up being the most expensive condominiums or something that would have been in this town. I'm losing my track of thought now. And finally, so when it comes down to the lawsuit, well, they said 750, so we're going to tell them 7. We're not going to cut no corners and do them any favors. We're trying to show damages here. Outside of that, hey, maybe I've been here too long, but I said before, I saw what happened when the town took an honest-to-goodness, very serious attempt to stop the jail. And to me, this is history repeating itself. We'll see what happens.
Thank you. Next question, starting with Ms. Petroni. This seems to be about the overrides, but this is specifically the Masco override. If it doesn't pass in Middleton, but does in Topsfield and Boxford, how will we fund our share? And I think people are just asking about overrides and budget decisions.
Yeah. So if it passes in the other 2 towns, what do we do? Pray. I don't know. It's going to be very difficult because we are going to have to find a way to fund it, and it's going to happen. So, in my opinion, the answer is we have to support it. The fact that Masco didn't provide, the biggest issue between the Masco, I think, and the elementary school when you listed them side by side was that the elementary school provided a specific list of teachers. Masco can't do that. A lot of different things come into play for Masco. We're a regional school committee. We have 2 other towns that we have to debate with. We have an entirely different contract system. 25 teachers should be enough to scare the hell out of everybody. So the threat of losing that much at the school, it would be catastrophic. It would destroy Masco. How do we fund it? I don't know. It's going to come out of other departments, other areas, other services. My opinion, why wouldn't you want to plan for that and be ready for it instead of having it be thrown in your laps? You think 579 is bad? I mean, everything is going to be cut. You're going to be looking in areas that you can't even imagine. So the obvious answer is you support your schools. I understand there's been an issue with communication through the administration at Masco, but all that does is punish us and punish the kids and destroy a school. So we have to invest in our schools. We have to invest in public safety too. So the answer is it's going to be an absolute disaster. So I would say support the schools.
Ms. Carboni.
Sure. On the Masco override, there is actually a 4.3% increase in the omnibus budget. It doesn't look that way, but where it is a regional school, there's 3 towns, Topsfield, Boxford, and Middleton. Middleton's enrollment this year has decreased, which, excuse me, which means the portion monetary-wise has decreased for our community. That sets a plus amount of money right there. There is 4.3% in the omnibus budget for Masco. I support I will be voting for the Masco override. I will be voting for the elementary school override. And most certainly, I'll be voting for the public safety. We do have to invest in our schools. I'm going to circle right back around to the budget. We have to fund these. If Masco's doesn't pass in Middleton, we will still have to fund it. If Topsfield's already voted it in, if Boxford votes it in too, we're still on the hook for it. So we do need to pass that override.
Mr. Cassiotis.
The short answer is if it didn't, then we would have to go back and before the town and ask for another override, and then if that didn't go through the whole process all over again. And if that didn't work again, then we would look at cuts. The idea that anything was, should have been seen earlier and was thrown on us, we do have school committees whose responsibility it is to be on top of those things and address those concerns. So I'm not so sure that it was sprung on anyone other than I think, honestly, I'll say it, I think there's a lack of desire on the administrative end, on the school administration, I should say, in both towns to take into consideration that while we all love the schools and the teachers do a tremendous job, and they're well paid, they're 65% of the town budget, but who's funding that? The people in Middleton, the taxpayers in Middleton, many of which don't have kids in school. Okay, so it's not sprung upon, this isn't easy times, these are rough waters we're going through. But short answer is that's what would happen.
Okay. Ms. Banfield?
Could you repeat the question?
Sure.
Sorry.
If the Masco override doesn't pass in Middleton, but does in Topsfield and Boxford, how will we fund our share?
I don't know, other than to kind of go back to my previous answer, which all roads to me go back to a split tax rate, because even a modest bump would help us cover, not immediately, but I'm saying it would help us in the future cover and prevent these overrides, or not prevent, but supplement the overrides. At the end of the day, I don't have kids in the district, but we have to support the schools. There's no way around that. I don't know. If the override doesn't pass, then it will be on the school committee, the Masco School Committee, to go back and sharpen their pencil and go back to the select board and sharpen their pencil, and it will be painful. It will be awful. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen.
Okay. Next question.
Can you say the question a little louder? Sorry, the air is on back there.
Okay.
Now I
Next,
know, nobody can hear back there at
next
meetings. Now I
question
know.
with Mrs. Carboni. Starting. What should be the criteria for affordable housing in town? And do you feel that home ownership should affect a child's entering our public school system?
I'm sorry, Karen, can you
Okay.
read that again?
So I'll yell
That's
this side.
okay.
What should the criteria for affordable housing in town, I think, be? And do you feel that home ownership should affect a child's entering our public school system?
I'm going to take the last part of that first. I do not feel that any child should be left out whether their parents own a home or rent where they are. They are still entitled. Every child deserves the exact same education as even a homeowner. The first part, as far as creating it, we have to learn and start being creative somehow in making modest homes. But if everyone looks around at the developments that are being built, there are these 5,000 square feet. In my town, I just did a 10,000 square foot house. But those kinds of houses, yes, they send in a lot of tax dollars. But if they have 4 kids in the school system, that doesn't always cover what the cost for the school is. Getting back to the affordable part of that, we have to learn and start and figure out a way to be creative. You know, we can take a lot of land and maybe put a moratorium on it so that you can only build a 2,500 square foot home. There you can still, kids used to live in a 12 by 12 bedroom, just saying. We have to be creative. If I go back to what Middleton used to be, we used to have generations and generations that lived in this town. Their grandparents lived here. Their kids lived here. Their now grandchildren live here. That is becoming less and less. So we have to find a way to be creative. I don't know that I have the exact answer. I don't. But is that something that can be worked on? Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Cassiotis.
You know, I don't know how creative you can get in town governance and finance. I mean, a lot, you know, it's not an excuse to say that a lot of the guardrails are already set in place on you. If you want a creative idea, then First of all, affordable in the town of Middleton is kind of a relative term. When the average home in Middleton is $963,000. So even in regards when you're talking to affordable, I don't think it's the same kind of affordability you might be talking in an urban setting. However, if you want to get creative, the land we own, perhaps we think about, putting on a sale of any land, we put a covenant on maybe like they call it cluster zoning or something to reduce the size of the square footage of the homes that might, in effect, make them more affordable. I wouldn't exactly use the term affordable because that's relative to, how much money you make. I mean, that's pretty much all I can see right now to give you.
Ms. Banfield,
Can you read, I got the back end of the question. Can you read the front end again, please?
what should the criteria for affordable housing in town, I think, be? And do you feel that a home ownership should affect a child entering our public school system?
Okay, so Massachusetts has a thing called FAPE, Free and Accessible Public Education, so it is the law. If you live in a town, legally, the child is welcomed with two big arms into the school district, no matter where you live. So renter, homeowner, apartment, condo, single-family home, come on in. We welcome you. As far as the creativity on the affordable housing, I don't know. I go back and forth with that. We moved here. We've been here 8 years. I know that Middleton has changed in the fairly small window that we've been here. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's more of a state issue. Massachusetts is not an affordable place to live. Middleton definitely isn't, but to Deb's point about kids are leaving, children just don't, your children and so on, don't stay. It's a very expensive place to live. I mean, perhaps kind of piggybacking on what Rick was saying, you have some sort of zoning limitations on the size of the lot, the size of the home. I mean, other than that, I would hate to restrict people from coming here. It's an awesome town. People want to move here. Is it affordable? No. Can we work on that? I'd like to think so. I posted a video on Facebook a couple weeks ago about an awesome project down at the Ginger Mill, and I would love to see that to come to fruition. The structure is already there. I had actually said, and I sent it to Jackie Bresnahan, who is the assistant town administrator, maybe we could look at making affordable units for police and fire. We have a hard time hiring police and fire. It's a very expensive place to live, and we're having a hard time recruiting people. Maybe we could set units for new recruits so they could come here with their family. I don't know. I think you have to get creative and start thinking outside the box.
Thank you. Ms. Petroni.
Natasha kind of stole my answer. So, what's affordable to me may not be the same that's affordable to you. What is affordable? I think during COVID, for me, it opened up the eyes to what you think the stereotypical person that may be in need was, and it showed you that it could be your neighbor. It doesn't have to be what you're picturing in your mind. So everybody in this town, there could be somebody living next to you that is struggling to pay their mortgage. Look, my house was $500,000 when I bought it 7 years ago. If I sold it, I could never afford to buy my house right now back in Middleton. So yeah, it's the $1 million question. What is affordable? How do we make it affordable? I think finding a way to create incentives for people who work in this town to be able to live in this town, or first-time home buyers, retirement community, I don't know. I mean, we definitely have to find different ways and incentives to get people to stay here and to be able to afford to stay here. But it's difficult. What's affordable? I mean, we all have a different price point, right? So it's hard to define that and to put a set income on that, because then, somebody sitting next to you could say, well, wait a minute, well, that's not fair. I'm just a little bit below you, but I'm living paycheck to paycheck too. I'm deciding, do I go grocery shopping or do I pay my car insurance? Like, it's those kinds of decisions that are being made. So I think finding ways to have, incentives, like offering it up to public safety employees to come in, or, first-time home buyers that want to start a family here. I think that's the best answer I can give. So,
Thank you. We're going to go to closing statements. Mr. Cassiotis.
Great. As someone, excuse me, don't start it. As someone who was proudly raised in this town, I've been deeply shaped by the values that make Middleton special. civility, loyalty, and a strong commitment and sense of community. Beyond the municipal settings, I'm passionate about giving back, whether volunteering at Pumpkin Fest, Winterfest, Earth Day, Chief Will's Day, delivering Meals on Wheels, or singing for the seniors down at the community center. I believe that service to our community is both a duty and a joy. I believe that in town government, I believe in the town charter, its bylaws, I believe in the Mass General laws and the Massachusetts Constitution, all of which I'm sworn to uphold. I believe political ideology has no place in town government. I believe I love my town, and everyone in it is my neighbor. I'm a uniter, not a divider. And I purposely didn't answer the last part of the last question, and I'll just leave it at that, about the renters. I truly believe that with everyone putting their heads together, doing the right thing, being responsible financially, and don't make any moves that are going to get us in any legal jeopardy, I think we'll be okay. I humbly ask for your vote on Tuesday, May 20th, 2025 at the Fuller Meadow School so I may continue serving this extraordinary town. In return, I pledge to remain honest, fair, transparent, and responsive in all matters of town governance. Thank you for your trust in me, your time, and your continued belief in the future of Middleton. With gratitude, Richard Cassiotis, Chair and candidate for re-election for the Middleton Select Board.
Ms. Banfield.
I would like to say that, as I said in my opening statement, I do believe in volunteerism. I do believe in community service. I like to be involved. I like to be aware. I am finishing my my role on Middleton School Committee. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time in spite of the highs and lows. I definitely had a rough patch. I'm glad I did it. I hope to be on the select board. I think that the select board would benefit from one or two folks who have a little bit different perspective, who are maybe in a different part of their life, who have maybe been here not as long, are seeing things from a newer perspective. And I get it, for the people who have lived here for a very, very long time, maybe even from birth, you're seeing things from how you, and that's great. But to see things from sort of a newcomer, I've been here 8 years, a newcomer's perspective, and maybe we can add something, you know, maybe something that hasn't been thought of, because it isn't how it's always been done. But there is value in new ideas and fresh perspectives. I'm a hard worker. I'm a respectful person. I genuinely hope that you will consider voting for me. I respectfully ask for your vote on May 20th.
Thank you. Ms. Petroni.
I love this town. This town has been very good to my family. I think that it doesn't matter whether you've lived here for 7 years or 37 years. This is Middleton. We all drive in the same traffic. We all have the same concerns. We all nearly get run over by the same person who runs the red light in front of town hall. So we all understand, and we all have the same wants and needs here. It doesn't matter, even if we disagree. Do you know how impressive it is that this many people are here at a Meet the Candidates night? That doesn't happen in every town. This town is very special, and I don't care if you agree with me or disagree with me. The fact that you show up and you care, that's great. I don't ever want that to die down. For me, I'm not somebody who's afraid to ask uncomfortable questions. I'm not afraid to look into something that disrupts the status quo. That's the kind of person I am. I will never be disrespectful. If you get up and speak and you want to have a conversation with me, I will look you in the eye, I will listen to you, and I will actually hear what you're saying. And I think that you need that. You need that. You need 5 people that are all going to bring something strong to the table. That's your A-team. That's what you need representing you, no matter what it is. If it's MBTA, if it's traffic, if it's an override, you need to make sure that you're getting all of the information in a neutral way so that you get to decide. You get the headline, you get to figure out all of the context in between, and you make your decision. You need all the information. I would love to have your vote on May 20th. I am proud to live here. I know that I'm not a generational person yet in Middleton, but I will be. I'm dying in this house. I'm not going anywhere. I mean, we couldn't afford to go anywhere else. So I'm proud to be here. I don't care about disagreements. I love it. I think it's healthy. It's always great to debate. And I'd love to have your vote on May 20th. I think I would serve you well on the select board. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates. We'll ask, we could actually clap for them. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, my goodness.
Karen, you forgot me.
I did, Miss Carboni. Sorry.
Okay, not forgotten. I've worked for almost 30 years in municipal government, giving me a clear understanding of how municipal government functions. From policy making, budget process, implementing rules, guidelines handed down from the State House. I have run my campaign on transparency, trust, and honor. If re-elected, I will continue to work with the boards, committees, and the administration. In closing, I would like to thank all the residents of Middleton for allowing me to serve you for the last 3 years on the select board. And with your support on May 20th, I will continue to work hard for all of you for the next 3 years. There is still a lot of work to do. I enjoy working for each and every one of you and ask you for your vote on May 20th. Thank you.
Good to go?
Yes. Good to go. Okay. Good to go. My legs are so stiff.
We got on
I can take it. I'm all on it. No, and if it's in my...
You got it.
So,
If the elementary school committee members would want to go fresh, that would be great. Yes. Well, you can't.
Right here. Right here?
Yes. Number 2.
I would like to be number 1.
I just have to be home by now.
Is Mr. DeBonis here or
Bettina Rubendahl. Yes. Oh, did they come up?
Yeah, I get everything.
If everybody would just take a seat, we're going to start for the second part of our evening with the elementary school committee. For 3 years, there are 2 positions open. We're going to start candidates on ballot order with Mr. David DeBonis. Would you like to give a 2-minute opening?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having us. I appreciate the honor of being here tonight. I'm David DeBonis. I'm currently on the Middleton Elementary School Committee. I'm the vice chair. I've served for the last 3 years. I have 2 daughters in the system. I have a 12-year-old who's now at Masco. I have a 9-year-old that's in 3rd grade. I sit as the vice chair. I've also been on the policy subcommittee the entire 3 years. I actually really enjoy the policy, coming up with policies. I came up with the Howie policy for the dog that we have at Howe Manning that everybody loves, and I was first in the state. I work in finance. I've been in finance for 25 years. I bring my basically expertise and my knowledge of that to when we're creating budgets. The 3 roles the school committee has is to hire and fire the superintendent, is to create policy, and to maintain the budget. So those are the 3 important items on that, and I'm happy to be here tonight and looking forward to May 20th. Thank you.
My name is Frank Leary. I lived here since 1960. I've been in education for about 60 years, I guess. I was on the Masconoma School Committee. I have a master's degree plus 65 other credits from Notre Dame, BC, University of Illinois. I ran 2 divisions for General Mills in New England for a period of 10 years. I said I was on the Masconoma School Committee. I taught probably 7 or 8 courses. I taught every level of education except elementary, and at a number of different communities. For graduate school, the only place I have no experience is elementary. I am used to making decisions. Currently, I run the Middleton food pantry. One of my jobs for 16 years was research for people who are challenged in southern New Hampshire and the Haverhill area. I did that for 16 years. I also was involved with the Council of Aging. I was on the North Shore Council of Aging, Middleton Council of Aging. I would say that if you wanted to look at me, you could say I'm an old man, which is true. But I've had one hell of a lot of experience, including starting a union, the MCCC. I received quite a few honors. I have Professor Emeritus from Northern Essex Community College. I have Vice President Emeritus from the MCCC, that's Massachusetts Community College Council. I got a number of citations from the state Senate and House. I do not have all the answers. The reason I'm running, I think that we're in a very, very tough situation in education. I don't know what the answers are. I am a union man, but I also believe in strong management. I've been in management, I've been in the union, and I think that we're going to be facing probably one of the toughest periods of time in education. And I'm out of time, but all I want to tell you is I'm a Democrat. And everybody should vote Democratic.
Thank you, Mr. Leary. We're going to move on. Bettina Rubendahl.
So my name is Bettina Rubendahl, and I'm excited for my candidacy for the Middleton School Committee.
My family and I have called Middleton home since 2018. My husband Joe, our son RJ, have been here again, and I love being a part of this wonderful community. With my son currently in 3rd grade and this year's election offering a 3-year term, I felt now was the right time to step up and contribute. As someone who grew up in a public school system, I believe that all Middleton children who attend Fuller Meadow and Howe Manning deserve a high-quality education. This begins with strong leadership, responsible decision-making, and open collaboration between the parents, teachers, and the community. I'm running because I know that when families, educators, and community members collaborate, we can build schools that empower our children to thrive. I look forward to sharing my vision, listening to your concerns, and working together to strengthen our district. Thank you for your time and support, and I hope to earn your vote.
We'll start the first question with Mr. Leary. What are the most pressing issues for the school committee?
That's easy. The present President of the United States has cut the Department of Public Education completely. It's going to have a dramatic effect all through the entire educational field. Where is the money going to come from? What are we going to do with kids that are challenged? What are we going to do to make up the difference between what we used to be given? When they say they don't want the federal government to be involved in education, the federal government has never ran the Middleton Elementary School on Masconomet. The local towns have run it. People like him and her and I, we made the decisions. But now we're going to be running out of funds. It means that we're going to lose people. The question is, what can we do about it? We start losing teachers, we start losing the supportive staff. Where are we going to get the money and who are we going to get the money from? We have to be very creative about that. But one thing we've got to do is we've got to sell people on the value of education for a kid. I'm out of time, and I wish I could tell you. 30 seconds. Oh, yeah. I think that you have to keep your sense of humor. Getting angry is not going to do it. You've got to tell people what the education we're giving them means to them. And we've got to sell education. If we don't sell people the idea that our educational system is worth the price tag, I think we're in a hell of a mess. Is that all right?
Very good.
Ms. Rubendahl.
I think the biggest issue is obviously the budget. We're in an override yet again. I'm really grateful for the work that the current board members have done with the budget over the past few years. Can't even imagine the difficulties that they're going through. I was personally disappointed last year when we didn't go forward with the override and the social emotional learning extra positions that we wanted to bring in were not able to fund, so we were not able to bring those into the elementary schools. This year, we're looking at an override. We're going to be losing, if it does not pass, we'll lose reading, or some reading. We'll lose special education, music. These students need that. My son's in 3rd grade. I do a lot of research on my side. The ages from 8 to 12 are very, it's the time for these children to learn and to find what they love. So if we don't have music, my son personally doesn't like music, but if he did and he went to music class, great. Maybe that's when I start taking him to do other music things. I really think that the biggest issue is the funds, and we need to find a way to work outside the box, figure out the bus system, see if we can come up with alternatives to fund different things and be able to keep our teachers and our staff.
Mr. DeBonis.
I think the biggest challenge we have is to maintain level service in our town. Many of us moved here, myself included, to get the education that we want our children to deserve. What the school system here does is incredible. from the administration to the school teachers to the teacher assistants, we have the finest elementary schools around. And to maintain that level of service is completely a budgetary issue at this point. And we have to, as a school committee member who's gone through 3 budgets, I've gone through 2 teacher negotiations with the MTA and also another Unit B, 2 Unit B negotiations. It's always a balance between providing adequate salaries to the staff and also providing basically the funds that are needed to pay those staff members. So the budget's always the biggest issue, I think, that challenges us. And with a year like this year that we have an override, and the reason we have the overrides is more because of costs that have gone up, things like insurance, transportation. It's not necessarily because of the increases on the salaries. It has to do more with these fixed costs that have gone up tremendously. That's a difficult job to navigate. And when you sit on a committee, you have to be aware, and we go line by line and see where we can make cuts that have the least impact on the budget and on our schools. Because I personally want to maintain not only level service, but to Bettina's point, the last override we have was for enrichment. And we're fortunate enough to have teacher assistants and people that help with special education more than any other town. And I want to maintain those things because I know I value it, and I know a lot of people in town value those things. So definitely the budget. Thank you.
Next question, we'll start with Ms. Rubendahl. In what school or community activities and organizations have you been involved?
What'd she say?
In what school or community activities have you been involved? Ms. Rubendahl?
So I grew up going to a public school on the North Shore, which I pride myself with. When I was in college, I was the secretary, vice president, and president of a National Honor Society. I was a president of a national sorority, and I was also on the Intergreek Council board, as well as the SGA, which was student government. Leadership from that I learned in college was listen to people, build relationships, but always listen, because you're always going to learn more from other people. And I feel like leadership is learning from other people and working with other people. So that's why I feel like this board is the place for me to be on.
Mr. DeBonis.
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. In what school or community activities or organizations have you been involved?
For school, was always involved in athletics. So I was captain of the soccer team. I played in college Division III soccer. I was captain there as well. Essentially, as far as other organizations, volunteer and otherwise. So volunteer, I actually volunteered at Children's Hospital for 2 years on 9 East 4. My daughter was treated there. She had a situation where life could have been taken, and I made a promise, and I dedicated 2 years up until COVID. So I would work on the the 9 East floor of Children's Hospital in the rec center, and I would go room to room and read to children and spend time with children out of my day every Thursday. I did that for 2 years up until COVID didn't allow me to do that anymore. So that was a really important part of my life. Gave me big perspective on what's really important. When you see a sick child and you're in that situation and you go back to your job, you realize that there's very trivial things in this world that people get very upset over. As far as other organizations, I run the Middleton Girls Softball League. I have 2 daughters that play softball. Very proud of that. It's a lot of work with very little reward, but the reward I get is seeing the kids on the field and seeing some smiles in their faces. I'm also on the school committee. I'm the vice chair on the school committee. I was also coach on the soccer teams here in Middleton for 7 years until my daughters aged out. So I'm tremendously involved in this community. I came from a family that believed in giving back. I came from a family that was very charitable, starting with my grandparents, my parents, and I feel like it was my duty that if you reach a certain point in your life that you've attained a little bit of success, that I think is very important to give back to the community and kind of spread that around. Thank you.
Mr. Leary.
Yes. When I went to St. John's Prep, and I was on the debating team. I liked to debate. Went to Boston College. I was awarded the Gold Key Society, and I helped found Delta Sigma Pi, which is an honor fraternity. I went out to the University of Illinois. At the University of Illinois, I worked for IBM, doing marketing research for them. Basically, how can you market the computer that was at that particular moment? I think that when you look at what you do in a college, I felt that helping other kids that were having a problem emotionally, psychologically, was something that I always did. And I think I always tried, as she said, to listen to what other people were saying, to understand what they were saying, and to give them the encouragement that they could always do better. I have a young man that's working for me. I run the Middleton Food Pantry. I have a young man that's really done it extremely well, but with a little bit of encouraging other people that they can do better is probably the most important thing you can do for people.
Last question. We'll start with Mr. DeBonis. What particular experiences or skills have prepared you to serve as the board member?
I think certain leadership skills I learned through athletics. I think beyond that, when I started my career in finance, I've run my own company. I've had a lot of people work under me, and basically, as far as other experiences, I have like a really good background in finance. I love budgets. I like to look at numbers. I like to see how things work. I like to affordability. I like to be creative. I like to find situations and think outside the box. I mean, we talked a lot about creativity. I just think that you have to look at things from a different perspective sometimes. And my experiences basically during my career and as athletics, that's really where I have the foundation.
Okay. Mr. Leary.
Yes.
I'm going to read that. What particular experiences or skills have prepared you to serve as a board member?
Failure. I failed many, many times at many things that I did. And many times I started doing things I had no idea what they were about. Starting a newspaper would be one of them. I taught courses. I never even took the course, and I wound up teaching the course on a college level. So one of the things you learn, failure is part of life, overcoming failure, and helping other people understand that if you have to take a chance and constant learning new things and constantly putting those new things together and maybe in a unique way. I'll give you one example. I taught in a college level, in a university level, and some of my colleagues, they taught the same course, and the same lessons for the last 30 years was pretty much the same as they did when they started. I annoyed them because I'd walk into class. I was taught micro and macroeconomics, one of the courses I taught, which doesn't sound very exciting. And if you walked in one class, I'm teaching, and you walk in another class, same class, same course, but a different audience. So how I treat that audience and how I teach the class would depend upon the type of student I have at that particular time and what kind of questions are they giving me, right? And one of the things I used to say, you understand. And many times I don't understand because it's a constant state of learning and developing and encouraging. Is that all right? I did okay?
Ms. Rubendahl.
Would you mind repeating the
Sure.
question?
What particular experiences or skills have prepared you to serve as a board member?
Professionally, I spent many years in the staffing industry. Due to a non-compete a few years ago, I did leave the staffing industry, and I've taken on an executive assistant role at the Procopio Companies, which is a business based right here in Middleton. I'm a part of the community. Most people do see me at children, youth sporting events, school events. as a parent, I'm deeply invested in the success of our children, the well-being of our educators, and the strength of our school. And I think it's important that I do have a third grader. I'm very invested in what's going on day to day in the schools. So I think there you go.
We're going to closing statements. We'll start with Ms. Rubendahl again.
Okay. I'm here before you all tonight because I care. I care about the children, our teachers, and the community. I care about not always making a quick decision, but making what the right decision is. I believe that the right decision comes from questions and research. I care about what is right. I care about everyone's opinions. This is your seat. It's your voice. I care about what everyone wants, not just what's easiest. I'll show up with an open mind for all decisions that needs to be made. And I will think about all of the community before making a decision that affects us all.
I think that my motivation has always been people. I had 3 kids of my own, 3 foster kids. I supported 20 kids in the Philippines after World War II. I think that one of the things that I've noticed that education and the community that I came to in 1960 is not the same community that we're facing today. They were absolutely, completely different. When I went to Masconomic, for example, they called me a ragamuffin. Can you imagine that? Me, a ragamuffin. And they expect me to accept that persona. If you know anything about my personality, that ain't going to work. So one of the things, I'll give you an example, one of the things that I did at Masconomic is that in those days, Topsfield and Boxford were only interested in one thing. That's how many kids they could get into a good college program. But I knew that my kids were never going to go to college in those days, never. So what I decided I was going to do, and they were going to kick me out of the school committee, by the way, at one point. So I brought in a friend of mine who ran the Police Benevolent Society, and he changed their mind. So what I did was, we built one building a year. The first one was the superintendent's building at Masconomic, and I brought in trades, and the tradesmen, every solitary job. Now the idea was not to teach them. The idea was to see if you could stimulate their interest in an area that they thought they would like to make a living. Does that make sense? And it worked. It worked so well that the Topsfield and Boxford kids wanted to join the program. Of course, it didn't last very long when I left, as you can imagine. A couple of years after I left, it disappeared. Can you imagine that? Being a school committee member. So, I mean, you get an idea what a personality I have. It may not be what personality he has, but I think I can add something to the picture, because I got a multitude of different experiences. I know how to make decisions. I'm not particularly afraid of what people think of me or say about me, because I got one hell of a big ego of my own. I will do the best I can to make a better school. And I'm out of time, and I want to say that you vote for Leary at your own peril.
Thank you. Mr. DeBonis.
I'm really enthusiastic about what I do. I've been here for 3 years. I think the experience I gained, I think your first year you kind of learn your ropes, you figure out what the situation is, and then you spend the next 2 years that you really can enrich what you're doing on the program. I mean, the relationships I built with the superintendent, the teachers, even the MTA, I think it's invaluable. I really care about my children. The reason I joined the school committee is because my children go to the school, and my daughters are still here, and it coincides. My oldest was in 3rd grade, and now she's at Masco. My youngest will be in 6th grade when I exit, hopefully, if I win this election. And I really want to see the schools continue to flourish. My grandfather was an educator, my father was an educator, I'm not an educator, but I come from a family of educators. I value that profession, I value those type of people, I value our teachers, and I value our students and our kids. I love the kids in this community, I'm a coach, I run the organizations, I've helped Children's Hospital. I really love the kids because the kids are our future, and nothing brings more of a smile to my face than when I see children enjoying their studies, enjoying their sports, and thriving and flourishing in the community. And that's really why I give back. It really gives me a great sense of satisfaction. If I get your vote on May 20th, I can tell you that I will continue the work that I started 3 years ago, and hopefully, with my experience, elevate the schools even more. Thank you. Good job. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you.
We're going to close with another reminder. Your town meeting's Tuesday, May 13th, 7 p.m., Hal Manning. Your town elections are Tuesday, May 20th, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., right here, Fuller Meadow. And our thanks tonight to Paul Pellicelli and Middleton's Community TV for covering tonight's event. And check your channels on Comcast or Verizon for rebroadcast. And on election night, check Middleton's website for the results. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.